fact that we really don't really have a debt limit per se. And we really do have, I don't want to say unlimited money. Obviously you have to worry about inflation, but with mint the coin, which if we could mint the coin to avoid the debt ceiling, and why not Medicare for all? Why not? It would really just kind of excoriate and shatter the neoliberal lie of the last 30 years, which is, we got to pay for things as we go and how we got to pay for it. And, you got to eat your broccoli and money don't grow on trees, which Steve Grumbine obviously has, enlightened you and your audience. So I think that's really what this is about. I think Biden agreed to negotiate because he knew they were not going to just pass a clean debt ceiling. And I think the donors don't want a mint the coin or some other thing that could reveal, we do have the money for things and we don't have to nickel and dime actual things for working people, for poor people. So that's what I think is really going on. The theater is to avoid Pandora's box from opening and removing the how you're going to pay for it stuff from presidential elections, Senate elections, and basically removing that from the battleground.
I've always found that argument just really ridiculous. Even if I were to buy into the concept of there's a budget and we have to stay, even if I were to buy into that concept, the fact that we can allocate what we can to war, to me, indicates that we've got plenty of money to do what we want with. So even if I were to confine myself to that paradigm, but when we know that that's not how this works, and we know that really what this is just another excuse for more austerity to basically further divide and further have the income inequality. It's really hard for me to stomach it. I don't watch that kind of news. It's very frustrating. I don't believe a word they say about it. And I don't understand the point of it other than a distraction.
No, you're completely right. And honestly, you got to wonder, it's like the same thing with abortion and other things. You got to wonder, why didn't the Democratic Party just move the debt ceiling when they had complete control in the lame duck? They could say, well, Manchin wouldn't have voted for it, but they didn't even try to pass a clean debt ceiling when they had complete control. So it makes you wonder whether they allowed this to happen for a political issue to kind of make the Republicans look extreme. But the danger in this is, if it passes, I don't want to say you got away with it with minimal scars, because a lot of terrible things in there, including the Mountain Valley Pipeline. But now you have set this precedent that we're going to do this every year or two. And next time, the Republicans aren't getting any less extreme. So next time maybe you'll have Speaker, Gates. And we're not doing it unless there's a, 6-week across the board abortion ban or something totally unrelated. And they're not going to negotiate. So just negotiating in the first place over this nonsense, you've now set the precedent. We're going to go through this over and over again. So my feeling is mint the coin for everything we need. And as far as I'm concerned, it's preposterous that these people care about debt, any of them, because they're all calling for more in military spending.
I don't know why anybody would be remotely surprised. Like, this is the same president that just screwed over the railroad workers for a sick day or two. Okay. So the idea that anybody would be remotely surprised that this would be what he would consider to be an okay deal. Of course, it's a good deal. It's a perfectly good deal for him.
And it also really insane. It also makes you wonder why, let's just say, for the sake of argument, that there really is a major constraint right now with printing money. Well, if that is the case, then how do you in any way justify raising the Pentagon budget another 11%? That. And you got Thomas Massie, who's really supposed to be like the one honest libertarian operator in the GOP, basically saying, I'm voting for this because we're cutting spending by $62 billion. And I'm thinking, dude, you're not cutting the military budget, and this is the thing you are the loudest about.
He said that they were cutting it when
No, I'm saying that Massie is like the one guy who truly is like, we got to cut the military budget. He's like, well, we're cutting spending X amount and we haven't done it in decades. And I'm thinking,
oh my God.
But that's not really the answer here.
No.
You're making it worse. It's like tax cuts for the rich. The hole's going somewhere. And it's going to end up going to people who can't afford to live, and thus creates an even greater cycle of poverty, which is even worse.
I also don't get where the messaging has been. I mean, not that I think Biden's anything to write home about, but where the messaging has been, like, get out the white bird, like, explain, like, hey, you know, fiscal conservatism, right? Like, Johnny can't go buy the lemonade, you know, then make the lemonade and then take the lemonade and then say, well, I'll pay you if you give me X. Like, that's basically what they're doing. This is already money that's been budgeted. And they're basically saying, yeah, we're not going to pay the bill. So I don't know if they didn't attack the Republicans for clearly not being fiscally conservative and pointing out this is the opposite of conservatism. I don't think the base would care because they just want to fight. But yeah, I know. I think Biden's weak. And it also kind of goes back to the lie we were stuffed down our throats in 2020 that, you know, this is the guy who could work with Republicans and get things done. The only things he's working on with Republicans and getting done is shit that's screwing, you know, working people up the butt.
And the environment in a way worse than Trump. Let's say, you know, like, that's a problem.
And that shows how disconnected these fucking like Pod Save America bro MSNBC resistant types are, because they say they're like saying this was a magic legislative victory because they're not in the sacrifice zone of the Mountain Valley Pipeline when it blasts. So what do they give a shit if that?
They don't care.
Well, those people are paid to talk like that. That's the thing that people really need to understand. You know,
they're plants.
You know, the Aaron Rupars of the world, the Brian Tyler Cohens of the world, they are paid a lot of money to suck off the Democratic establishment and make them look really good on national television constantly. And I don't care, you know, and those are guys that are at the top. You got the Bush League dumbasses down here in the Krasenstein brothers who do the same thing. They're the ones out in the Tampa Bay area, and they're doing the same thing, building up these accounts and talking about how great Biden is. He gave away the farm, and he gave it away when he didn't have to. He could have invoked the 14th Amendment. He has executive authority to mitigate this circumstance, and he isn't doing it because he doesn't care. And it's like, at what point?
Well, you know what the ironic thing is, and it's kind of funny. He tries to exude this whole, like, I don't do things that are against Senate norms or against the Constitution, so I'm not going to go against the parliamentarian, or I'm not going to pass the 14th Amendment because it might get sued, or they might have legal issues. He had zero problem at the beginning of the pandemic. We're talking like March, April 2020, sending people out to vote in the primary during a raging fucking pandemic when, like, nobody knew anything and you had 3,000 people dying a day. Wasn't worried about that. No. Remember when Simone Sanders went on TV and said the CDC says it's okay, which was blatantly. So it's like very selective which categories Mr. Biden adheres to safety or norms and which ones he doesn't. So yeah. I mean, I can't really bring myself to cover like the, wall to wall, the countdown clock of the debt ceiling because it's so preposterous. I mean, I obviously have Steve on to explain it, but I think Steve puts it well. Like, this kind of stuff is really going to kill people because even the work benefits, even the SNAP cuts, things like that, for the people that are already on the margins, it really has a major negative effect. And to call that a victory because you got it. Oh, we got this past the election and we don't have to deal with it again in 2025. It just got a major problem among many problems with the corporate media. And one of them is just how intentionally disconnected you have to be to be a $1 million anchor or, a six-figure journalist. They're all completely removed from how this affects actual people.
Thanks for watching. If you want to support our mission to transform politics into service, please like this video, subscribe, follow us on social media, and consider joining our Patreon, where you'll get early access to our interviews as well as other exclusive content. Links are in the description. Peace out.